What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Salty Runback, here to be your weekly intake of North American Developmental League of Legends. A busy week in the space we just had. NACL playoffs kicked off, the OQ kicked off, and we saw the debut of our two-time NACL MVP Yuuji on Team Liquid in the LTA regular season, and it looks pretty good up there in Tier 1. My name is Grapes. I'm joined alongside Hawk. Hawk, how are you doing today?
Grapes, I'm doing well. Actually, it's not been a great day, but that's okay because we got League of Legends to talk about, and you know what could be better than that?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was
that's very nice. Yeah, I had a catch up on sleep day today, which
same.
is good.
Yeah, that was necessary.
However, I am immediately going to fill for a shift of LPL in about 5 hours, so we're going to be ruining that very quickly. But that's just kind of how the way things go in esports. And hey, you know what? There's still a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. More NACL playoffs coming this week. The OQs continue to be very exciting. And in just over a week's time, Hawk, we're going to be together in Raleigh, North Carolina for the CLOL 2025 National Championship. I don't know if it's like going to be announced or has been announced. We talked about it before. We're going to be there. We're going to be at the event. So make sure if you are in that kind of Northeast area and want to come hang out, say hello, you should do so. Tickets are free. And if you want to wake up early with us at 10 a.m. to watch some Collegiate League of Legends, I mean, there's no better time to do it.
Yeah, I believe our call time is 7:30 in the morning, which is early, if I could say the least. But it's going to be a great series. You're not going to want to miss it. Grapes, I also like how you advertise this to anyone from the Northeast, as if Raleigh, North Carolina is in the Northeast.
Mid-Atlantic, I guess. South. Is it the South? I don't know.
It's like South-ish. It is definitely the South. It's just not deep South. You know what I mean? Like
I should have said East Coast. That's my bad.
Yeah, maybe East Coast. But definitely make sure to come. It seems like a lot of great people in the space are going to be there. We're going to be there. We're going to be having a great time. I am beyond excited because it also means I just get to have a weekend to go enjoy CLOL, which I haven't really gotten to have yet because of my new work schedule. It's been very pay attention to CLOL for 6 hours and then fucking sprint to work and then catch up when I get home. And that's been fun, don't get me wrong, but I'm really excited to just have a full 5 days where I can think about nothing other than collegiate. And it is going to be so amazing. Definitely make sure you go. Also, definitely make sure you check us out on all of our platforms. That's LTA Runback NA, as well as like and subscribe to this video because usually when Grapes and I go to LANs, some fun content follows. Usually. We're going to try to do something over there. I know we've done an episode at CLOL the last 2 years. Our production's only gotten better every time we've recorded it in person, so.
Yeah, there was nowhere to go but up after the first one. But, we hopefully can get even better than that this time around. If you have any ideas for stuff to do out in Raleigh, any fun content, again, let us know in the comments. And, of course, subscribe to our Patreon as well. We have a Patreon headline that can be suggested to users who do subscribe in our Discord channel that you can, ask questions to us there. But that'll be coming at the end of the show today because the first thing that we have to do is highlight some fun content that came out from CLOL to kick off the show today. We had the University Esports NA Twitter account post some drawings that the finalists all created from each team. They were said to draw a photo or picture of your main in League of Legends, and we got some pretty fun drawings. We're gonna pop them up on the screen right now for you guys to see. Out of these 10 magnificent pieces of artwork, Hawk, which one was the best and which one was the worst?
Dude, there's some pretty good ones in here. We got some artists in CLOL finals. Either that or they have good friends. But I'm really hoping that everyone...
yeah, I'm a little suspicious.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that everyone actually gave it a good try. I want to give honorable mentions to Shimmer and Asyla. I love the Asyla's very stylistic kind of gothic line art kind of dealio with Lysandra going on. That is super fun. Shimmer reminds me a bit too much of a furry, but it's a pretty good drawing of Warwick, okay? It is pretty damn good. But I'm giving first place to Zyko. Dude, this Thresh is actually really good. I love it's got a style to it. It's very chibi. I love this.
Yeah, it's actually really nice, and it seems like it's drawn like on paper, like with a pencil or something. Like it's very
Yeah.
pencil textured. Everything else kind of looks like MS Paint. So damn, I
I
didn't know
know.
Zyko. I
I'm
didn't know you
really
got game
hoping
like that.
Zyko
So
actually drew that. Like, God, if
shout
he hit
out.
somebody else up for it, I'd be so sad because it's good, you know?
Yeah, I think I have to go. I think I have to go Zyko too. Shimmer I think is a close second. I think if this is a prediction of how the finals are gonna go, definitely leaning Maryville personally. No shade to the Ole Miss crew, but I think that
Ooh,
Maryville maybe a little bit
really,
more
I was actually
artistically
gonna
gifted
say,
at
I
least.
think even though I like Zyko and Shimmer as the two best, I think I agree with you. I think as a team, Ole Miss might have done better. I'm gonna be honest. I think Sajed definitely pulling up the
Ooh.
rear with his smolder drawing for me. And Zamudo and Spyrax, I'm not too impressed.
Okay, Spyrax drew a very cool bird, but I assume that's a
Just a
Zir, and
duck.
that does
It's
not look
just a,
like a Zir
it's
at
just a
all.
bird.
It's just a bird.
And then like
It's a nice looking bird though. I have to give you shots for that. Um, okay, now that I'm looking at it again, I was no offense, I was leaning Shogo on this one with the Draven. It's
really,
like I think just drawing facial features is hard.
you think
Obviously,
Shogo's is worse than
but
Keels? Because I think Keels is the worst on his team.
okay. Here's the thing. The level of execution necessary to draw like a Draven versus a
I mean, I
Cosmos,
agree.
feel
like
is a
Keel
bit
gets
different.
points for
And so
difficulty.
I'm
He
giving
gets
Keel some
points for
for
difficulty,
that.
but like
Yeah.
it's pretty bad.
I feel I feel like the execution is like kind of similar.
No,
I don't know.
Shogo's is way better. It at least like is proportionally correct, and it's got like some personality to it. Dude, Keel's Cossacks Nightmare Fuel. Why is he so wide? Why is he like built like fucking? Oh, he's like built like an offensive lineman, bro. And then he's got like pencil legs. He's got that.
Dude, yeah,
he's got
bro.
that rower build. Okay, you know what I mean? Where they are fucking jacked up top,
Yeah,
and then they got
the
pencil
huge
legs.
shoulders. All right, so it seems like we're a little bit split on who did the worst, but there's a couple of candidates.
But do you think those are worse than
yeah,
Sajed?
shout
Do
out
you
to
think those are
Sports
worse
NA.
than Sajed?
Sajed's is like okay. The thing about Sajed's is it's like a lot cleaner, but it's like way simpler. Like he spent like he has the
Okay.
least number of like total
Sure,
lines
sure.
on his compared to like the other people. But like it's clean, you know? Like the colors are filled in nicely. There's like you can very clearly tell who it is, even though like the colors might not be perfect.
Okay.
So I'm
yeah,
giving Sajed a little bit
sure.
of a couple of points for that.
Okay. No, like I get what you're
You don't
saying.
agree. You don't agree.
I just feel like I'm not giving him that many points for least lines, but like I get it. Yeah. Sajed's
yeah, you know,
looks
sometimes
like
simple is better.
the main character in like one of those cartoon movies they'd show you in Spanish class. Like you know what I'm talking about?
Do you remember Dragon Tales?
I do. I never really like watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
We talked about this on
We
Shooting
might
Assault,
have.
I believe, like last time. So, okay, last thing about this, before we move on to actual League of Legends, who has the best signature out of the 10? Because I think that also is an interesting conversation. Because you know, like CLOL athletes, not necessarily
Esports
having
athletes
to,
in
you know,
general
sign their names
don't
like
have the best
professional athletes all the
signatures.
time. But I mean, who do you think has the best one out of here?
Ooh, Shimmer's is pretty clean. I actually like Zyko's with the smiley face. Again, I'm not gonna lie. Sajed's is just a little too basic cursive for me, I think. Oh, Strays! Whoa! Okay, Stray wins. Strays is hard as fuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Strays
I was
is
gonna
so
say
hard.
Strays is
Also,
pretty
Silas
cool.
is pretty cool too, even though it like doesn't say anything. But I just like how unique it is. But
Asila is definitely one where like that's something like a real pro athlete would do. where
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
You get
like
the first letter
Asila's
and then
got
everything
that.
else is just nonsense scribble. My favorite is Rhinos combined
Rhinos
with the
is-
Kraken picture. It's just like the block letters that you did in 3rd grade. I think that's hilarious. I think it's like
with the fucking
So,
pencil
that's
I
so
also
on
like
brand.
how we
It's so on
completely
brand.
let Rhino get away with his Gragas drawing, by the way. But
oh, I tweeted it out and I was like, this is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty
I don't
good.
want to
It's
hear
pretty
anything about it personally.
oh my fucking god, dude.
Okay, we spent 10 minutes in the intro and then talking about some CLOL drawings.
Wait, really quick to sum it up. top three signatures. Stray number 1, Asylum number 2. I'll give Shimmer number 3. Okay, but that was a really important headline. I think we deserve to spend that much time on it.
Absolutely important. I will say, last thing again, we got to work on the signatures, guys. Like once we go to the big leagues, like we're gonna have to pick that up. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Spyrax and Zamudo literally just wrote their names. Like, I get it, but come on, guys, we can do it.
Well, speaking of people who just came up to the top space, let's move on to our next headline, which talks about Yuuji, the 2-time NACL MVP that has made it up to the big leagues and started, I think, to most of our surprises in that last regular season game against Shopify Rebellion. I think a lot of people assumed that he was going to take a little bit of time for his visa to be approved, but turns out, lo and behold, there he is right before the playoffs in a 2-0 smashing of Shopify Rebellion. Now, it was a very one-sided series overall. However, Yuuji did go 10-0, 11-0 in the last game on Pantheon.
Yeah, man.
Overall, though, looking at it, TL versus Shopify, very one-sided series. Was this a team diff, or did Yuuji actually make a significant difference in helping Team Liquid win?
It's such an interesting question, especially given that it's Team Liquid, because a huge part of the discussion, which I think deservedly so, Yuuji got a lot of praise because he had a great weekend. But Team Liquid did help him out a lot, and also he's just playing on fucking Team Liquid, right? Like, you know, came in top 6 in MSI last year. You know what I mean? Like, and I think was a big part of that, by the way, at the MSI run. But, you know, like, I think a lot of people would play pretty well in the situation Yuuji was given. I mean, shit, Team Liquid with me playing jungle is probably not a last place LTA team, man. Like, but
a lot closer than Yuuji, though, probably.
Yeah, but Yuuji played very well, and he should be applauded for it. I'm really glad that everyone on social media, I think, actually was very rational about the whole situation, where it's like, damn, that guy popped off, but like, let's not get too ahead of ourselves with the expectations. But damn, that guy popped off. I'm like, that's the perfect reaction. I am really, so if I'm not mistaken, Team Liquid was already locked upper bracket, right? Because it didn't matter what happened against Shopify Rebellion. So I think that's why they started Yuuji. So I'm still tempering my expectations as far as like what I think is going to happen moving forward. I don't know. Like, I'm going to say Team Diff because they also had Spawn back, and I think that's an important part of the conversation as well.
Yeah. Yuuji, my correction here, 10-0 on Viego in Game 2. Pantheon was his debut game where he got helped out a lot by
CoreJJ being
Poppy.
A fucking gremlin, bro.
He was pretty insane. Yeah, got to give him credit for that. But I think that this does open a conversation that I think part of the reason that maybe Umpty was not performing as well or whatever is I think Impact has been kind of more has been playing a little bit worse, I think, overall compared to his MVP campaign last year.
Yeah.
And Jan and Core are still like pretty solid, but I think Yuuji coming into this team really gives Team Liquid another area to like fully play around and have somebody like be a big carry on, right? And we saw that in that second game where he went like 11-0 on Viego. I feel like with Umpty, like I know he had moments where he got a pentakill in the finals last year and things like that, but he's really been relegated more towards like kind of supportive duty and like more utility oriented stuff, especially during first stand. And I'm curious to see that if they try to like buy into Yuuji like being a hard carry, which he's been able to do at the tier 2, tier 3 level, like if that can result in him really like adding another layer of diversity and like the play styles that TL can play as well. I think that's like the big difference here for me, because would Umpty have locked in Viego and gone 11-0 in that game? Like I don't know if that's like cope or not, but that's kind of my perspective on it right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. Also, Umpty's mostly an AP jungler specialist. Like I feel like he doesn't play a lot of the AD junglers other than like Xin Zhao. He plays like that kind of shit.
He can play like he plays the meta stuff, but
right. But to your point, he's not like a
things, like
Viego Pantheon player. And I will say, I think a lot of the criticisms of APA's champion pool are overblown, but he doesn't play AD champions very much. He's mostly a mage guy, has some weird pocket picks. Like we've seen him play Tristana. I know last summer, like TL was really trying to make Nasus mid work as like an AD supplement while Umpty was playing like Lilia games. I think Yuuji definitely opens a door for champions like Wukong and Viego, as you already said. Wouldn't be surprised if he busted out a Kindred here or there. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, if I had to guess, Team Liquid is still deciding who their ride or die starter is, and maybe it is just a true 6-man roster as well. I know Spawn said that the MVP of the weekend was Umpty for how he supported Yuuji on his debut, which is extremely cool to see. I mean, Umpty always has been a very infectious presence. And my prediction is that they're going to have Yuuji start against Cloud9 because it's upper bracket. And then if they get punched in the mouth, Umpty back in for the lower bracket run.
Or even for like the first couple games of that match.
Right, yeah. And like, but maybe if it's a close series, right? Oh, they lose in 5. Okay, we ride with Yuuji, right? But yeah, that's my prediction. Is they're going to try to see how far they can go with the Yuuji experiment, and if it like stops working against the top team really, really quickly, okay, maybe we need to cook on this just a little bit more.
I mean, that's exactly what I would do as well, personally. Like,
yeah,
Team Liquid they have struggled a little bit, coming off of MSI, specifically against like the top teams. The biggest, they lost once to DSG, but aside from that, their only losses in Split 2 have been to FlyQuest and C9. So those are the teams that they're gonna have to try to take that next step up against, and if Yuuji can add that extra layer of flexibility and he could be a solid presence, I think that you should try to ride this wave. I mean, that was the best that Team Liquid probably have looked against like a decent team in a while. So
it was a very clean series.
Yeah, and especially against Shopify, who have also been rising up a little bit. They just took down 100 Thieves the other week, and so they're in the upper bracket as well, so technically a top 4 team in the LTA North. I think overall...
What's with the technically?
I mean, like, 100 Thieves made finals last year. I need to give them a little credit there. But yeah, I do think that Yuuji should be the starter, at least until things don't work out again. And then that's why you have the 6-man. I think this is a perfect landing spot for a player like Yuuji, where you're on a team that has a lot of strong players, a lot of veteran players. You have Impact and Core JJ, literally 2 of the most experienced LCS players like in the space right now. And you combine, you bring him in, he provides like a little bit of spark. Sometimes that's exactly what the team needs, and it's going to continue to raise his reputation as well, which I think he absolutely deserves.
I mean, there's a reason that APA has worked. There's a reason that Yan has worked. There's a reason that Masu has worked. It's because they were put on teams, which, I mean, granted, two of those players are also on Team Liquid, but they were put on teams that were not just budget shitters where the new players were expected to carry, right? But no, we are putting you in for a reason because we believe you in the long term could elevate our team, and look at the talent you have alongside you to help you along that journey. And I think Yuuji now has APA and Yan as a sort of a part of that spiritual journey, which is incredibly cool to see. And Masu's been able to embark upon that as well. And yeah, I mean, Team Liquid to me has the right formula. I think they've been, for the past 3 years or so, pretty clearly the front runner for talent development alongside Fly, and it's no surprise that they've been the top 2 teams in the region for the past few years.
Hey, shout out to Dig as well. They've been playing better as of late. I think
made playoffs.
Slightly so. They did make playoffs, which is a big accomplishment compared to where they were last time around. So, Surdy, Shaden, and the guys.
I think Surdy's started playing some of his game. Shaden, I said this on our last Salty Runback episode, but I think I had a bad take about the Shaden interview. Because of the way people have been talking about it, I'm actually really happy with it. So,
yeah, they've been playing good too. So give some love to them in the lower bracket, but right now the big focus is on Yuuji and what he's been able to do. So shout out to him. Wishing the best of luck to Team Liquid going forward. Last thing, real quick. Actually, no, we could table that for another time. I was going to ask about Spawn being in person, whatever, but I feel like
it helps. It's big. It's a factor. Spawn making an argument for greatest coach in North American history. But
hot take.
Is
Just
it?
2 years in, you're willing to throw that out there in terms of LTA.
I think North America has, at the top level, taken more strides in the last 2 years than they had in like the previous 4. I don't know if that's a hot take though.
I'm actually still kind of excited about what we could do internationally.
I am too. And we were regressing basically from COVID up until 2024. And I do not think it's a coincidence that Spawn coming up to this Team Liquid team and saving them has elevated every other team around. I'm just saying, like, I think this guy, let's not go down the rabbit hole, but when North America has generally not had many great coaches, but rather just coaches that are attached to big names. Like I think of like, I mean, shout out Parth, like also a great coach and personality in the space, but like he was attached to like Double Lift TSM and stuff like that. And some of these like greatest names we have in history, but I feel like NA in the past was always personality driven first, coach second. And we are seeing a new era where I think coaching matters so much more. And I think Spawn's been a big herald of that. But I'm gonna move on because speaking of maybe like a great segue into this headline, old era against new, near airport, mental boom on stream, Spica and Double Lift ready to kill each other, Croissant watching from the sidelines. It's not looking good for the team right now. That's my sensationalized headline. Grapes, is it time to panic about near airport?
So yeah, beautiful transition, by the way, into the NACL playoffs. As we did have that first week, completely gone through. Hawk, you are perfect, 4 for 4 on your predictions through the bracket that we did on our last week's episode. So I want to give you a shout out on that. Darkseer of Dragon's
shout out Winthrop, who came through.
Later. Yeah, but yeah, the big win for the week for you was Winthrop upsetting near airport once again. And if it's 2 times in a row, will it really be an upset the 3rd time? I guess we'll have to wait and see. That sends near airport down into that lower bracket where they have to play up against CCG for that spot. Now, as you mentioned, things got a little heated. Double Lift after the game like kind of turned off his mic and started like flaming people in his chat a little bit. Then they had another argument on stream, like in review, and like disagreements and things like that. Oh, man. Do I think that okay, my take on this is that all the players and all the coaches in that room have been a part of something either similar or way worse than like whatever kind of like mini blow up that happened there.
Yeah.
Except maybe TF Blade. And then even that TF Blade has been a part of like different content teams and stuff. Like I'm sure he's like argued with people like in game before. These guys are so experienced, and I think about the last time like a big mental boom happened, like in LCS experience that I remember, like with Double Lift and Biofrost, it was with 2020 Summer TSM, and they ended up coming back and winning the entire split after that. We don't talk about what happened after they won the split, but they did win the split. And so these guys have been a part of this before. I think that it's like not too big of a deal. However, I'm like, this is like kind of going into things a little bit more. Like we need Near Airport to like go on a bit of a run, because if they just bomb out of playoffs, there's a good chance that like they just don't play next split, and that would be worse for the league overall. So I think at this point we do have to root for Near Airport a little bit. I'm sorry, CCG, but I don't think Near Airport necessarily are in too bad of a spot. They have good records against CCG, I think, in scrims. They're like a frequent scrim partner of them, and they did beat them in the regular season.
Yeah. Look, we talked about this with Ole Miss and Winthrop, actually. Sometimes teams need a mental boom. They need to scream at each other. They need to yell at each other, and they need to come back stronger than they were before. It could absolutely happen. It should happen, because as you mentioned, these players have almost certainly been through something like this before, and probably worse. I agree. Like, I think at the end of the day, this is... I've seen worse. You know, we've all seen worse. Dunzo manifestos. I mean, I think about like Double and Afromu from like way back in the day, right? Like, there's been worse falling outs than what happens here. But a really important piece of the puzzle is that you need to be able to drop ego, come together as a team, and solve the problem as 5. And, you know, we have seen, as I was kind of talking about before, like, it's a very personality-driven team. And I do think, like, you need to be able to drop that ego, and I'm curious to see if it happens, because I don't know how, if they want to win that badly. You know what I mean? Like, is Double Lift more interested in winning than he is being right? It's like a really, like, I know that sounds like a dumb question, but like
it's a great point.
It's a legitimate question to ask. And I mean, kind of to Double Lift's point, and it was maybe not the right thing to say in the moment, but like, he's kind of right, is like, it does seem like Croissant might not be the guy to manage the personalities on this team, or at least has not been so far. And that was one of the criticisms Double Lift had, which again, like, I think maybe not the time to make that point made, but yeah.
I want to go to bat for Croissant a little bit here, because here's my thing. Like, when you have like the biggest personalities,
No,
like,
right. I agree with you. Like, how are you
on
supposed
your
to coach
team,
that team?
are you supposed to like be bossing them around, or are you're supposed to kind of let them do their thing, right? And so I feel like I don't know. I feel like Croissant is doing fine personally. Like,
No,
I don't
and
know
I
if he
mean, I've not
deserves the
seen too
level
much
of
of that.
crazy.
I'm going off of like, because my take is like, even when you're a coach in that situation, your job has to be as the objective voice, right? You need to be able to direct, because yeah, I mean, you're not going to know better than fucking Doublelift, and I don't think that's the expectation, but you have to be able, the team has to trust you to follow a plan and not argue about it, and that's why you have the coach, right? Is because the coach can be that final say. And like, maybe that's the criticism that I would have, is like, I feel like at times the personalities have been allowed to boil, because what it all comes down to is like, Spica yaps too much but oftentimes actually is right, and Doublelift doesn't want to listen. Which, you know, I get it, like, Doublelift's the GOAT, but yeah, and there's other problems in there. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point, but
Well, let's focus this in then
yeah.
onto the actual games that are happening this week, because we have two best of fives, our first best of fives in Fearless format in the NACL this year. Starting off with CCG against New Airport, and the winner of that gets a matchup against Winthrop. It would be a rematch again for New Airport if they're able to take it. I guess. Do you think that the matchup against CCG is like a worrisome one for NA given their current situation? Because
Yeah.
even though they did win their last series, it was a 2-1. It was a very close 2-1. CCG almost won, and then it took like one clutch double if Corky team fight for them to actually win that game at the end.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem for NA that I have, is I feel like even NA at full power, CCG is not a free win. Neither is Conviction. I don't think Winthrop really is in the form they're on either. Like, so it's not just that NA is mental booming, but it's like, these are good teams. Like, we have to play well against them. So I do not think this is a free win at all. I think I'm favoring CCG as of right now, but I will say, Grapes, this is the maximum content arc. Like,
That's
NA
true.
loses in the first round and mental booms, and then they bring it together as five. They like see past each other's differences, and they win like 6 consecutive best of fives or whatever
This was our bracket.
thing
yeah.
is.
Our
Yeah,
dream
so
bracket.
like, I don't know. I think it'll be a contested series. I don't think Near Airport's gonna roll over and die. Even though I was
hope
rambling a lot about their problems, I really do think the takeaway should be like, most teams are able to say, guys, here's how we focus up moving forward. And like, this kind of mental boom can be good because it means that the problems are no longer festering. They're out in the open. Let's fix them, you know?
I think I have New Airport favored just because of that pedigree for the previous history. They've scrimmed CCG a bunch, so now they really know like kind of what to expect from them. Especially if Biofrost is going to be playing, because I know Kelpo like was a sub for their series against Winthrop, which like we didn't really talk about too much, but Bio wasn't a part of that loss for them. It was Kelpo. If they got the full roster, I think that means that Doublelift and Bio will be able to hang with Array and Breezy, and I think the top side of New Airport is just a little bit stronger. So I think I'm going to favor them. In the rematch against Winthrop, though, I mean that's again it's pure content. I hope that one goes like 5 games. It has to, right?
I mean, I'd be down with that. I'm really curious. Dude, this is starting to become like Ole Miss Winthrop tier. Why does Winthrop play like the same fucking 4 teams all season long, man?
Hey, it's good that they have a rivalry because
It is.
a rivalry against NA.
Dude, did you see the Reddit thread, by the way, that was like, why is this random team from South Carolina so good? Like, don't they all just happen to go to Winthrop University? And I'm like, wow, the lack of ball knowledge in this region is astounding. But
This is why you don't check Reddit. And I've learned that like 5 years. I've learned that as soon as I started like casting stuff in like tier 3, tier 2, just Reddit is not where ball knowers reside. You have to go you have to go to other means for that, at least for the spaces that we talk in. So NACL playoffs should be fun. A little fun side note is that Luminos Dark Zero Dragonsteel is going to be playing their upper finals game in 2 weeks, actually in Raleigh. So that's gonna be a fun thing. Maybe we could do like a little like interview content with them like after the series or something, and post it on our socials. Let us know if you would be interested in that. But we've gone from tier 1 to tier 2, and now we're gonna go to tier 3 with the open qualifier. They had their first week completed, as we have actually really quickly spun through the upper bracket. We have now just our qualification best of 5s up there. And then in the lower bracket, still a lot to get towards over the next 2 weeks. But let's focus on that upper bracket to start things off. The two best of fives that will be determining the first two spots in the promotion tournament are going to be Jolly Rogers against Dorado Gaming and Citadel against UC Irvine, who took down DIT Esports 2-0 to make it all the way into that qualification game. So if this was just a open single elimination bracket, we would just pencil out that these are the 4 teams that make it into the promotion tournament. However, there is the lower bracket in play, teams that have been eliminated that can go on that kind of lower bracket run. We do know that 2 of these teams, though, will be confirmed by winning their best of 5 Hawk. So out of these 4 teams, will it be 2 teams, 3 teams, or 4 teams, all 4, that actually are the ones representing the NACL Open Qualifier to go up against AMI and Pulse?
And remember as well, for these teams, it's since now 4 go to the promotion tournament instead of the 3 that we had last split. If you just get straight up 2 best of 5s, you're done playing best of 3. So you get a game. What is it? Saturday is the best of 5, and then if you lose, you're on Sunday next week. So, really simplifying the road for these teams for sure. And just by the law of like there are a lot of good teams, let's say 3, because obviously, like, two is the minimum, right? And even though, like, I am fairly inclined to say that UCI, Jolly Rogers, Dorado, and Citadel are, if they're not the top 4, like, they're pretty damn close to it, right? Like, you know, maybe, like, UCI is 6, and you could put, like, Milk and Cupid up there or something, right? Like, they still got to beat UCI in a best of 5. I do think it's unlucky for this question, maybe, that like probably who we expect to be the weakest team out of the 4 UCI is actually they're playing the Citadel, right? So they're probably going lower bracket. So they couldn't like, you know, more than likely won't cheese out a win in the upper bracket. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say I feel like Galaxy Gaming and Cupid are probably the 2 strongest teams remaining. And UCI should dodge them if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, they go right into them.
Oh, they go into them. Yeah, let's say 3 teams. Let's say 3 teams promote.
So you're saying it's likely going to be UCI that doesn't make it in, and you'd say that the loser of Jolly Rogers Dorado would be favored against the likes of everybody in the lower bracket, but most notably DIT Esports and Milk Esports.
It's DIT and Milk that they'd be competing against, and I would favor the Jolly Rogers against both those teams, I think.
Interesting enough, Gravity would be in that group. However, Jolly Rogers, I believe... No, they beat Galaxy Gaming, not Gravity. Gravity lost to Dorado Gaming on the Aegis stream. This is, I think, going to be a really fun set of best of 5s. I think even the UCI Citadel one
I think it'll be good
here. Because remember that both both Citadel and UST, which is like the core of the Citadel roster, at least I guess now it's only 2 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5. But they have had their struggles, you know, right? Like Citadel in the last OQ didn't make it to the NACL, which they were very much expecting to. UST kind of fizzled out of CLOL as well. You know, they swept through all their series. Them, Jolly Rogers, and Dorado 2-0'd all 4 of their best of 3s to get here. UCI did drop a game to Weber in the second round. But I think that UCI, they've got something cooking a little bit, and I think it's going to be a really fun matchup to watch. I definitely do favor the Citadel, but maybe I'll get spicy. I'm gonna say all 4. I'm gonna say UCI makes it into the promotion tournament. They looked pretty good, especially towards the end of their run. Strumpus is like doing peak Strumpus things right now. I think he played Varus top lane.
Yeah, he posted on Twitter. He was like
crazy stuff.
Tier 3 is fun. Try to guess what role I'm playing or some shit.
Yeah. Now, the argument against UCI is that they probably had one of the easier brackets to go through. You know, the DIT team was kind of hit or miss.
They've not played another top team, I think.
Yeah, they've gone through Weber, obviously, then Zero Animosity, who I think we all think is like relatively solid, and then DIT Esports, which was very hit or miss, like, right? Like, we weren't sure if they were going to be like Faker, like best team ever, or if they were really going to not do so well, and it looks like it was a little bit of the former, or of the latter, I should say. But I don't know. I got a good feeling about what UCI is cooking right now, and I'm not super convinced by what Galaxy or Cupid have in store either. So
Believing in
that's what
UCI
I'll
is a
say.
dangerous prospect, but
That is true. As soon as I say that, it means they're gonna lose. Unfortunately.
no, I
But-
don't think it's a bad take though, Grapes. Like UCI's been playing well. They've been playing together all year, and I think that was part of what was so shocking about them losing to UHSP is like not only was it a upset, right? But I felt like UCI was actually playing good League of Legends. Like they had just had a very competitive series against Northwood previously. They had looked pretty good in the previous OQ. Like it had felt like UCI was having like a good season, and then like they ran into the fucking Eutectic hype train, which happens. But yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree with you. Like I think they're a good team. I'm still gonna stick with 3 just for randomness.
Yeah,
Again, you
that's
just
fair.
never know what can happen. But I don't think it's a bad take.
Last thing, we talked a little bit about the UCI versus Citadel. If you have any thoughts on that, definitely like kind of lay them out here. But also talking about Jolly Rogers versus Dorado, because it's going to be a very exciting best of 5 in my opinion.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah. Jolly Rogers Dorado. I'm really curious who I favor because Jolly Rogers bot side has stepped up so much. But like Dorado, I mean, I guess I favor Dorado because I had them higher to begin with. I think they have a balanced roster across the board. They have players that I think are talented. I didn't get to watch too many of their games. Did Ariana and Fadachan have a good tier 3 debut?
Well, technically Fadichan played on Dozer last year, so we got to give him some credit there.
Did he play on Dozer in Spring Split? I don't think he did.
I thought
Or
he
in Winter
did.
Split. No, Dozer was
Oh, was that Makel? Okay,
It was
maybe I'm wrong.
Makel.
Maybe
Yeah.
it was Makel.
That was the big change for ACL is they had Fadachan for Dozer, but it was
okay.
it was what PCL Cross fucking command
TJ.
attack Makel
Yeah.
and Dozer.
Okay. My bad.
No, you're good.
Yeah, generally pretty good. They had the series against Cupid that got them in here. And it was just like a pretty clean win overall. Ariana and Fadichan both played pretty well. Kaido is his name. I
saw you get
him.
corrected on Twitter.
who
I
also
told
went
you in the
by-
last episode, by the way. I told you he goes by Kaido
Yeah.
now.
Well, okay, his IGN in the games was Reneskitter.
All right, well that's just
so like
that's
now
just-
at that point I'm just like
that's just them being a pro player, bro. Like I don't know what you want.
yeah. He did play Kha'Zix and go 13-2 in their clinching game against Cupid. I favor Dorado. I think we agreed. I think we generally were consensus second best team outside of Citadel. And
Yeah.
So I'd still have them favored. However, I am curious to see what the Jolly Rogers do because you can never count out a Dragoon team in a tournament like this.
I'm just looking at the rosters again too. I don't think I favor Jolly Rogers in any role except for maybe top lane. Like depends on the form Dragoon's in. He's definitely had higher highs than Ariana. But
Wow. Not even jungle? You think Will?
I think
Will
Kaido
doesn't count it?
clears. Yeah. Based on like the last year of play, I'm being like really harsh, but I don't think Will has had a good showing for the last year or so,
fair
to be
enough.
honest. And Kaido has played pretty damn well when we've seen him in tier 2 and tier 3 for the last year or so. And then, I mean, Shochi, Fadachan, and Mix. I think Fadachan and Mix, like Zev and Nukes have been playing great. I think Nukes is actually really underrated right now in like the tier 3 CLOL space. Like this guy's talented as fuck, but I mean, Fadachan and Mix is just such a strong bot lane. Like, yeah, I think Dorado's favored, but it'll be a good series, and it's players we like on the show, friends of the show that are going up against each other.
It should be fun.
Sunzi versus Shochi. I mean, come on, man. That's fucking classic right there.
Hopefully that gets streamed somewhere. I know the Jolly Rogers channel has been streaming. So shout out to Icefire who was doing some CLOL stuff with us. He was double fisting the CLOL stream
That's
this
an
weekend. I don't know,
insane.
that's the
Yep,
best
he was
way to
double
say
fisting it.
But yeah, okay. We talked about the upper bracket a lot. Let's dive into that lower bracket before we end up the show. Interestingly enough, the way the format for this works is that there are actually 4 teams: Day Esports, Milk Esports, Galaxy Gaming, and Cupid that we talked about that lost their matchups in the round of 8 in the upper bracket, the upper quarters, that will actually not play at all this weekend. They will wait until day number 5 to play their next round of lower bracket games. So that leaves a whole bunch of other teams.
A whole bunch.
I think 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's 44 teams.
44 teams that are going to be playing for, I
so
believe,
many.
4
Oh, no, sorry.
spots.
42. I forgot about the 4 in the upper bracket. 42 teams. Or 40. Final answer. 40 teams.
40 teams, and they're going to be playing for 8 spots at the end of this. 4 spots going into this. So we're really cutting things down. 4 full rounds of kind of just single elim at this point down in the lower bracket. We can go through some of the important teams that we want to focus on in the topic of this discussion, Hawk, but does anybody here excite you at all in terms of going on a lower bracket run and potentially getting a spot in the promotion tournament, or even a spot in the best of 5 to get into the promotion tournament?
No, not really. Yeah, I'm going to keep it a stack. I think this OQ, the quality is quite a bit lower than the last time we saw it. I mean, again, it just feels like a regular OQ, right? And in a regular OQ, we usually think about, like, 6 teams are good, and I think that's about how I feel in this one. Maybe a little bit more than that. I think the one shout out I'll give is like Gravity or like maybe Zero Animosity. But again, to get to a best of 5, like you have to win back-to-back series against teams you're not favored against. The one thing I'll say is I think Gravity has the easier side of the bracket. Like they're dodging Galaxy and Cupid, and their loss was against a top 2 team in Dorado. So I'm willing to give them some credit, but I mean, I don't know, Graves. Like, I'm not looking at this list of teams and really feeling that inspired.
To add on to your point, and we had this discussion before we hit record, but just taking a look at the teams that are in this current lower round 2, compared to last OQ, it's very, very stark, the differences of like the quality of teams in each round of play. I'm just going to name off like 5 teams that I think are pretty good in the lower bracket of round 2. Let's go with Next Level Flippers, Respawn, Goon Gaming, Spellbinders,
Weber State.
And Weber State, sure. Now let's go over to round 2 of the lower bracket last OQ, where we had, let me find it real quick. This round had teams like Red Note, Fantastic Five, St. Clair, GVU, Fisher College, Citadel, obviously, Third Party, Kobuko's Brewery, and Saving Private Dozer, just to name a few. I probably missed a couple there. The quality of like the top teams, even in that level, is so different, and I think that really goes to show like that it's not just like the fact that Heartstock Casterlo was able to compete in this open qualifier. It's also the fact that like the teams even in that higher like tier, like everyone kind of got bumped up a little bit, and that results in teams that I don't think have too much of a chance to move on into throughout the lower bracket.
Yeah, and it's like, someone might go on a run and take like a couple best of 3s against like, some of these random teams, and like that'll be cool. But I mean, Grapes, you rattled off 5 teams that you think are okay in this like top 48 round, and in a regular OQ, I don't think any of those 5 would be like seeded to get out. You know what I mean? Like if we were in Swiss, like I think we'd expect all of them to be somewhere in that like 2 and 3 range. Oh, maybe one of them goes 3-2. Oh, holy shit! Congratulations, they made GSL, right? But like,
I mean, yes, I think so. I think last year maybe the quality was a little bit lower, especially in summer. That maybe we could have seen some teams be some favorites.
I mean, but still, like, I mean, maybe they go 3 and 2.
It's all like the range of like like the 15s to like 25 or something like that. Like a matchup that I want to shout out in this lower bracket.
But my point that I'm making really quick is you listed all those teams that were in top 48 last tournament, and like literally all those teams we'd probably have getting out of like a GSL stage and like a regular OQ.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, I definitely think it's just lower quality of play. I don't think any of these teams are threats. Unfortunately, again, there's like a couple of those like day 2 teams that I'm like, hey, maybe they do something. Gravity being the main leader there.
Out of the pack, I want to give some shout outs. I want to hear your thoughts. Weber State only lost to UCI, who I think, at this point made it all the way over. They smashed UCI in the first game of that, by the way. And I think having Sendy in has really helped them out. They have a relatively easy path. So they're someone that I'm taking a look at. And then the other ones are this
Don't
matchup
sleep on
between
Exodus, dude. Exodus has been playing pretty well.
Fair enough. Shout out to Exodus too. The matchup I'm looking at though, Gorilla Jones Mentality versus Spellbinders as our like round elimination matchup here on Saturday. That's gonna be pretty fun. You have like the UHSP group with Porty and Lelio, And then I think Spellbinders, they're a team that I could maybe get on the bandwagon of like Lancelot Link, Reppy has subbed into the mid lane for them, and then like Winking Muzi. I think like that is probably like the best you're gonna get out of that crew.
Yeah, that's a fun team. That'll be a good match. There's good matches here and there. It's just.
But I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would not bet money or bet anything on any of these teams even making it past day 4. So.
Like I even look at Gorilla Jones' mentality and Spell. I mean, they could beat Ocean's Echo. Honestly. I don't know. I could see one of these teams making it to Milk, to be completely honest. But like, yeah. I mean, deeper than that, like I feel like as a prior.
That is the one I looked at. It was like, okay, that's a real matchup.
That's a matchup. That's like the one we would beg our producers to stream if like it was 2022. You know.
True. Yeah. So best of luck to all the teams down there. Prove us wrong. If you go on a run and we get to shout you out.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. Look, people call me a hater, and they'd be right. But you got to remember, I hate with the desire to be proven wrong because it means things are not going as I expect, and they're more exciting than I've expected. So. I would love for a team to shut me the fuck up right now, but I don't think they have the sauce.
All right, well, calling your shot right now. We'll see if we get proven wrong. Didn't get proven wrong in your NACL bracket. So to wrap things up, we do have our Patreon suggested headline. This was from Collamer, who asked just a favorite moment that we had from the CLOL season. I know we didn't have a CLOL headline probably for the first time in like 6 months.
Hey, we talked about those drawings, Grapes. That was pretty.
That is true.
Pretty
really
valuable
high-depth
stuff.
Conversation. But now, we're a week away from the finals. Our next part 2 next week will probably be from Raleigh. So now to take a step back here and just kind of think about our favorite moments from the year, do you have a specific memory that you are going to cherish with you from 2025 College League of Legends?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good CLOL. I'm going to be I'll take the selfish angle with my memory. I think it's, as always, we've always really enjoyed that anytime throughout the history of Salty Runback, a player just tells us that like they've enjoyed listening to us or listening to our coverage or whatever, or they interact with it in any way, shape, or form. And I think this year more than ever, I really felt like we broadened our audience in terms of like who Salty Runback was for. Because I think we've slowly but surely gotten better and better at telling the stories of like all of the rest of the teams. Once we felt like we had a rapport with like the top teams, right? And not that we only ever focused on the top teams, but I just look at like we got so hyped about like Minnesota beating Converse or like fucking I know the Carleton guys have like said, thanks for covering our season, and UHSP, those guys super active in the Discord as well. Like they've been talking with us the whole way through. And it's just been really cool to see players on these like teams that, to be honest, no one probably would have paid attention to, like be a part of like the conversation and really have like a spotlight on them. So I mean, it's a bit of a selfish memory, but that's what always is like extremely valuable to me, is like knowing that we're not just doing this for the love of the game. You know what I mean? But like it is actually valuable to someone.
I have two days that I remember like pretty vividly that I want to shout out, or maybe 3. Number 1 was the first day of CLOL playoffs. I was traveling with my siblings. We were visiting my cousin up at UMich, and we were like walking around, and it was the day that it was the Bethany versus Minnesota best of 5 that went like the distance. It was crazy, and I was like walking around campus hanging out. I was also like staring at the screen and like tweeting all the stuff. I was like, that was a great week. That was the first week of regional conference playoffs, and there's a lot of really exciting things that I'm also forgetting about at this current moment that were happening at the same time. That was a really fun day. There was another day that was like right in the middle of the week, but it was MEC playoffs where we saw like Ottawa like lose a game to Briarcliff, which was crazy. We then immediately went into like UHSP Weber like part 50. We saw Grandview play like another series. Like there was like a bunch of like these non-conference games that were happening at the same time. I think Playfly finals were on at the same time. That was a really fun day for me. I'm gonna have memories about that for a while. And then the first day of the CLOL Championship, which actually was before the first weekend of the CLOL Championship, San Jose State versus Ohio State. There was like 10 of us like watching that first series in the Salty Runback Discord, like going crazy over like Evan Lai, and then when Miller locked in Master Yi for 2 games.
Oh my god,
the
fucking Master Yi, dude.
So I really enjoyed that. as well. Those are the moments where it's not just like the top teams playing against each other. Like obviously like Ole Miss beating Winthrop and getting to cast that was great. Like watching Maryville do their thing.
Like
was awesome.
we're always gonna cherish the moments with the top teams. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely
it's
think
those
like,
other moments that were great. That
exactly.
I think really separated this year's CLOL to last year's CLOL.
I think the moral of the story is like it to me, and I think so much of this credit. Shout out Dakar, no longer the TO for CLOL, but was throughout the year and leading up to it. This was by far the most interesting CLOL for the first 15 weeks of competition that we've ever had. Like it's not really close. And it was so fun to follow it all the way through. Like I think of all the random narratives, like Grapes hyping up a bunch of teams in regional play that none of them ended up making nationals. And like
shout out UNC, UCSC.
Yeah.
I miss those guys.
We like dude, I remember getting hyped for like random regular season games. Like Western beat St. Clair like in fucking East Conference, man. Like there was just good shit like that the whole way. ISU taking a game off of Maryville, and we thought they were the truth. There's so many good ones. I'm like this CLOL season, like this feels like the most I've ever paid attention because there was actually something to pay attention to. Like, obviously, we always would have been tapped into nationals, but it really felt like a full season story. And maybe that's just my favorite memory, is the fact that, like, I feel like I can look back and be like, damn, what an interesting season of CLOL instead of what an interesting top eight,
The Swiss format helped a lot because you weren't getting, like, a bunch of random, like, regular
double
season
elim playoffs
stage
too.
Games. That helped, yeah. I mean, shout out to the format for changing. That was really good. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for our episode today. Thank you so much for Collamer for the question. We're excited to see you in North Carolina in just a little bit over a week. And yeah, hope to see some of you down there too. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials, like and subscribe to this video, comment anything that you want to see us do when we're out there in Raleigh as well. And we'll have another episode coming out probably later this week. We're not sure exactly what it's going to be on yet, but we always come up with something fun.
Yeah, maybe we could do like a big salty Runback dinner or something out in Raleigh. We get all like the fans and we.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I
do.
Like
we do
your
that.
thinking there.
Yeah. Nah, man, Raleigh's gonna be a lot of fun. Definitely hoping to see everyone there. And thanks to everyone for tuning in throughout the CLOL season. 1 week coming up to end it all, but it's gonna be a treat all the way through. I don't really know how to close out this episode. Check us out on all of our social media at Salty Runback NA, including our Patreon. We're reactivating Semi-Pro POV. We promise. We're reactivating Passing the Salt or Shooting the Salt. We promise. And Discord. It's a great place to be. But if you think that Near Airport is going to make the entire lower bracket run for content, you can take what we said with a grain of salt. I've been Hawk. That's been Grapes. Have a good one.